Greetings, people. My name is Snaptix. In this video, I'm going to talk about the forgotten half of the Ascension community. Today's content is more in the style of a video essay, so I recommend you put it on a second monitor and treat it like a podcast of sorts. I spent a lot of time gathering bullet points and opinions, talking to people, and writing this script, so I hope I can still grab your attention, and who knows, maybe you'll find this video interesting and you might also learn a couple of things. Before we get into it though, I want to let you guys know that I've spoken to a ton of different people in the PvP community, both top-end gladiators, leaderboard players, and beginners to casual PvP enjoyers. I've decided to keep the identity and names of the contributors anonymous to try and shield these individuals from toxicity and to respect their privacy. Toxicity towards these individuals or guesswork as to who they might be in the comments will get their commenting rights removed from the channel. These opinions are not necessarily my own, and I didn't test or double check a lot of these statements myself, so keep that in mind. Anyways, let's get right into it. I decided to make this video because I've always had a soft spot in my heart for the PvP community, both on retail and Ascension World of Warcraft. And I could clearly hear the disappointed voices of the forgotten PvP community that we have this season. A lot of these points and concerns are coming directly from the PvP community itself, and I'm simply here to give them a platform for them to reach out. With that being said, I did compile a list of things that they mostly had in common, which is also what I will go over today, starting with the balance issues. With talents and legendary REs being split up into multiple talents, this season has truly been the season of burst damage, which also inadvertently means that there's a big balance gap between ranged and melee players, with melee players oftentimes not having a fair chance of even getting close to the opponent. It's not uncommon to see melee players having to take stealth in order to try and snipe isolated players in the back of the battleground to even try to be a bit useful. This imbalance can in some cases be so extreme that melee players won't be able to finish their charge to the opponent before getting nuked. Another complaint about balance issues is that nerfs are coming in way too late in the season, with players having to re-roll entire builds because their main spell wasn't using a PvP mod, as seen with Cataclysm and Icy Penance. These nerfs, which in some cases can be up to 40%, have already made some players quit due to them having to flush 2 months of work on their build down the toilet due to these changes coming in so late instead of the start of the season. These nerfs can also in some cases feel like targeted attacks, as only a handful of people are playing those builds due to low PvP player count. This is of course only amplified by the lack of rewards in PvP, which I will get into a bit later in this video. This is however partially due to the main PvP developer, Tater Tots, having to take a break due to mental reasons. Tater Tots was the main person that the PvP community had to speak to the development team, and with Tater Tots MIA, there seems to be little to no hope of getting welcome changes implemented. I will personally say that we shouldn't blame Tater Tots for failing the PvP community. As I said, he's taking a break due to mental issues. I sincerely hope that he's recovering well, that he's not stressing out over his digital responsibilities, and that he's looking after himself. And I hope that he fully recovers and takes all the time he needs with his family and friends to get back on track. And I think it's important that we all understand that some of these issues could just be due to him taking a break and the Ascension team being understaffed or not having found a temporary replacement in the PvP community. The gap between noobs and veterans. There's a big difference between starter and in-game builds, with people having hit Silas cap over the last 2 months and new players only starting with 4 predetermined abilities and 6 talent card lock-ins. New players are feeling awful and useless in BGs and end up going AFK and getting banned in some cases. And the same things are happening with veteran players. They log in only to find recognizable names on the other team, only to realize that the battleground is a lost cause because all the heavy hitters are on the opposition, and then they end up going AFK or directly leaving the battleground due to a predetermined loss. At most, 2 to 3 battlegrounds are active at one time, which means there's no real MMR gap, leading noobs into the same fold as hardcore PvP veterans, thus reducing the influx of new people getting into the PvP scene due to getting stomped, which in turn leads into a downward spiral of no new players, leading to less battleground queues, which in turn leads to imbalance, and again, back to no new players due to getting unfair teams. This is not only happening in Battlegrounds either. Reports say that people have experienced 30 to 40-minute queues only to get into a 1v1 game. Again, with recognizable people on the ladder, the arena community is so small, in fact, that even players who have had their build nerfed are still sitting on the leaderboards and getting top-end cosmetic rewards because there's simply no one to knock them down the ladder. In some cases, people have directly stopped competing and are still, as things are changing, going to end up getting ladder rewards simply because of a lack of players participating. PvP only content and scroll acquisition. Scroll rewards are non-existent in some cases, with a battleground loss rewarding 0 scrolls. This feels horrible because some games can be quite close and last for up to 25 minutes. This makes the game feel bad to play for people who just want to do PvP. Of course, this forces players to do activities in the game that they don't want to do. Looking at you, Manastorm meta. Of course, scrolls do get rewarded in high risk, but nowhere close to the same rate of Manastorms. One possible reason they are hesitant to reward scrolls at the same rate as other content is the fact that it might be abusable. In fact, a somewhat large group of people already got banned for farming high-risk content in raid groups, which is maybe also the reason why they limited the number of people who can queue other types of PvP content. In general, it would seem though that PvP players don't particularly want to do PvE content, specifically mana storms, for many hours a day to stay ahead of the curve. Unfortunately, introducing new arenas and purchasable tier sets for Honor seems to simply not be doing the trick when there's more pressing underlying issues going on. These changes are, of course, very welcome, and as far as I understand, many people seem to agree that this is a positive direction. On an ending note, as I was doing writing and mostly recording this video, Tater Tots made an announcement in the PvP chat that he has officially returned after his 2 months hiatus, which we can only hope brings more positive changes. I want to welcome you back, Tater Tots, and I wish you a stress-free time going forward when balancing PvP. Welcome back, man. That's all I had for today. If you have any thoughts on the matter, feel free to share them in the comments. I hope at least some of you learned something from today's video. So it wasn't a complete waste of time. And please keep in mind what I said in the intro part about leaving those comments. I love you all, and I'll see you guys in the next video.